Hi there. Hope you're doing great. We are going to learn Python intro in this track number one of this playlist, Python for Engineering and Analytics. Please make a note that if you are already good with Python, introductory pieces, you can directly skip this video and you can move to, the other videos of this playlist. Okay, but if you're fresher to the Python and if you really wanted to quickly understand what's Python and how is that I'm going to access Python kernel or the Python shell every time in the later video sessions, yeah, please, I advise you, please go through this. Okay, so let me tell you what is that I'm going to basically cover in this session or in this track. So it is going to be a very quick introduction to Python. So please do not expect me to dwell through each and every command or whatever I'm going to introduce you in this intro. But please make sure that all of this will be taken up in the next tracks for sure when we are picking up a real use cases, and you will be learning much more when we actually deal with real-time use cases than this intro. But this intro is very important. It will just give you an a area or the code functionalities as an introduction, and we're going to use much more in the real-time use cases. All right, before detailing any further, so let me take you up through the PyCharm. So I think in the last track, that is track 0, I'm sure you must be you must be knowing now very well how to open up a project of PyCharm. I actually request you to download the Git repo and then open that Git repo as a project so that you have all the documents, all the code that I write through this complete sessions are available with you, and you can later on add pieces that you wanted to. And I basically advise you to play around the code and do all the exercises that you would like to become very close to coding and to get the ease of coding. All right, let's quickly start with the intro pieces. Okay, it would be very short. So this is the file, that is track1 intro.py is what I have for you. So here you go. The first one, how do you know which version of Python are you in? There are two ways to do it. One is from your terminal, which you can basically open up in the terminal and just say inside this you just say Python 3 hyphen version. This is one way to do it, that what is the Python you are in. Or you can also do it in the terminal here in PyCharm. You don't need to open up the terminal outside your PyCharm. PyCharm has got an interface of terminal here itself. So you're here within this project called Python for Engineering and Analytics. Just here, if you just say Python 3 hyphen version, it's the same thing as the Python there, but we are using Python 3, right? So Python will give you 2.7. I have two versions of Python on my system, so don't worry about that. So my project is with Python 3.7.6. All right. So these are the ways that you can basically understand what version of Python. But in case if you are inside the Python shell like this, you just click on Python console. You are on the Python console. Within the Python console, if you wanted to really see what is my Python version, there are ways to do it. Let me also show you through the terminal. Okay, so this is the one, and I wanted to get into this terminal. And if I just say Python 3, and you are in Python 3, and if I just say import sys and then jsys.version, you get to know what version of Python kernel are you in. This is another way to know what version of Python are you in. Okay, so let me also show you how do you run this code. Okay, so I have written the code, so why should I basically type in my terminal? I wanted to just run this code, right? So please make a note that I have made certain changes to my shortcuts or key shortcuts on my system for PyCharm. So if I open up PyCharm preferences, this is Mac. So just get into key map. So on the key map, I just say execute selection in Python console, right? This is the key map. for this particular selection, that means for this particular action, I have customized my shortcut called command return. Okay, so in case the defaults would be something different for your case, so please make sure you use the same shortcuts that is there here. But in case if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me cancel this up. For example, if I want to run this single line called line number 6, okay, so I just select this one completely, and then select only this line and right click on it. You just click on execute selection in this Python console, which means whatever you have selected will run in this Python console. I can either right click and do this, or I can just you see here the shortcut, it's command and enter or command return, right? So I don't select this option, by the way. See, it has run in this console. This is the reason why PyCharm is very, very friendly. You can just write this code and run it right away here, and then you can see the output of the code, right? It's a real time kernel that can help you coding and also see the results right on the screen, and it will also help you with the syntaxes on the screen, so you will be learning it as you keep going on in these tracks. All right, so you just select this, and I'm just pressing command return on my system. Yeah, it's the same thing as you see here in the terminal. It's the same thing. See, there's no difference. So we might not be using terminal a lot, but for few things which we will know that later. But later on, I mean, remember, for all the coding purposes, Python console is your friend. Okay, so you're going to execute everything. You're going to write your code in this panel, and you're going to execute them here, and you're only going to select them, and then say execute selection in Python console. That's it. You will be learning a lot of things as I keep progressing in the tracks about PyCharm, about Python, but I'll keep it very, very simple for this intro session, okay? And more often, we print something on the screen. So in case if you want, this will also print something on the screen by default, but in case if you want to force to print something on the screen, this is a command. You just say, select this, and I'm just pressing command return. You see, it's the same thing. So print is something, it's if you're very well if you know the Linux or Unix or any operating system kernel behavior, it is called std out, standard out. So your screen is an output, your monitor is an output devices, right? So if you want to see something on the screen, not which is inside the memory, print is a command. All right, so you have seen something now very, very familiar. How do you get into Python shell? Either within the same console where you have Python inside it. So you see 3 right arrow marks. That's when you will come to know that you are in the Python console. Or if you want to go into the terminal and get into the Python console, you have also seen that. Just say Python 3, you are in the Python console, and you are very good now to start going and writing your Python code. Okay, so I mean, don't worry, this terminal is exactly same as your operating system terminal here. So you can basically get that. I'm sorry for that. 1 second. Okay, so let me open this up. Okay, I'm sorry for this. Okay, my view is out for you, so I'm just adjusting it for your comfort. So let me do that. Yeah, my view is back. So I'm here, and if I just say Python 3, I'm into my console. And if I just say import sys and then say print of sys.version, it's exactly the same thing that you see here. So it's just that you should start getting used to this IDE, which I prefer to do it. So, and if you're used to this, and your life will become easy, it will exactly go and execute your code inside your Python kernel. It does nothing. It's only an interface to help you out. Okay, so that's all about just about Python version and how do you run some code inside Python. Okay, so the next thing is you can also run the complete file. For example, if you just don't want to run these 2 lines, but instead you want to run the complete file on your system, so what you would just do is you either say here, this one, so it would just go from here and it will execute everything on my system. all right? Or you can just go to the tools on the top and run on the top, and you have something called run track info, or you can right click anywhere and see run file in Python console. That's it. What does it do? It will completely run this, okay, file inside the Python console. Remember, Python is a sequential programming language. So as I told you in the last session, so it's just like any other scripting language you have outside, like Scala, shell scripting. You can name any of the SQL programming. I mean, PLSQL that you write. So any editors that you write in SQL, so all of them are sequential. Um, you know, and C++, all of these are sequential programming, basically, right? The basis of it is sequential programming. But you can also write object-oriented programming in Python. We will come there anyway later. But yeah, remember this piece. That's it. What does it mean? Once you execute this, say run track info, each and every line which is not hashed. Hashing in Python means comment. That means kernel will not run all of this. What does it do? If I select this and say command enter, it does nothing, because anything which is starting with hash means a comment to Python kernel. That means it doesn't do anything with it. It's only for our information. You can write any story there. So all of that I wrote here is only for your information. Whichever doesn't start with hash, that's what really gets executed. So when I right click and say run this complete file, all the commands that I have got here, everything will be executed in my Python console. Or you can click this play icon, or you can right click and say run track intro. It's the same thing as this icon. It does everything. See here, it has run everything and it has completed. So I just said right click and then I clicked on here, or I can also click here. That's it. It has run completed. So you can run the complete file using PyCharm, or you can only select few lines and say run. These are the ways that you can basically use your Python. Okay, the run console is completely different. It's here, but you can come back to your Python console here. Okay, so these are the things that you should definitely know of. And in case if you want to run the same file from your command line, how do you do that? So you can go to your terminal and come out of this session, and this is where you are, right? So you can just say Python 3, and in the current directory I have my track1 directory, inside which the file name, the Python file is this one. See, exactly the same thing. So whatever you have seen here as you run this command, it's the same thing that happened when you right clicked and selected run, just like this icon. It's the same thing, but PyCharm will help you to achieve that, without, so easily. You need not basically worry about, uh, you know, writing up Python space, the file name outside in the terminal. Okay, so coming back to this. All right, back to this. Now, first of all, you will hear a lot called modules. What is a module actually? The sys, import sys, is also a module. Remember, as I know, that Python is a very, very light kernel, right? Which means though you have a lot of modules available in the market, by default, when you open up or run into a Python kernel or a session, it doesn't load any of those packages by default. So you will have to import whatever you only needed. See how good is it? It's not like I'm not a Java coder, but still, if you're a Java programmer, probably when you get into the Java console, you basically have the kernel packages, all of them that is required for Java to run. But here you can specify what to be made available inside your session. So sys is also a package. People call it package or module, right? So you will have to just import. That means whenever you do an import, I'll just try to show you. If I just say sys dot, see, all of these are functions which are available for you, which is inside sys module that you can use for any of the requirements that you might have. So one of those is version. So that's the reason I was able to run this command very easily, and it was able to run because I did an import sys. Let me show you something. I am stopping my Python console I'm restarting my Python console. I'm in my Python console. That means your session has been restarted. All of that you have done so far has been erased. Okay. Now, if I directly say sys version, this would not work. Or yeah, I'm sorry for that. Sys is something that will be loaded by default when you open up the this one. But something that I remember which doesn't happen is OS. Okay, I'll anyway show you that. But what I wanted to really show is, in case if you don't have these basic modules that you wanted to run, if you don't load them with the import command or any other command that we're going to see later, these commands will throw an error. Okay, I have something coming up later where I can really show you this error, but I'm not sure if it will be available or it will be done in this particular session, but definitely I'll show you that when time permits, or as we get into the next tracks, we definitely can. Okay, so I'm sorry for that, because you see here it is doing an import sys by default whenever I reload my PyCharm console here. Okay, so let me really check. Even it's crazy, for me also to know, will the sys be a default import if in my, command line? So let me just say Python 3. And now if I say sys.version, right? See, I'm true. So sys is not a default version that will be loaded by default when you get into the kernel. You see the magic of, PyCharm. When you go into the Py console, it does the import sys for you for every session that you log in. That's the reason I did not get the error. Okay, so that's what I was literally surprised why sys.version worked. But if you get into the terminal, now you are very clear, right? So terminal is a clean sheet, so it doesn't load anything, system defaults. So sys.version was failing. Now if I just say import sys, I'm sorry, import sys, and then say sys.version, now it would work. I'm sorry, again a typo, I'm sorry for that. See, this works. So remember, if you want to use any basic things, any command in your Python console, you will have to import the specific modules or packages. All right. You might be, wondering, where is this module exist? It exists on your system. When you install Python, there are basic modules that gets in the default installation. You might be wondering, where are these files located, right? So this is the path that you need to basically know. So sys.path. These libraries or modules might be existing in any of these locations. It will pick that file, or it will pick that module and it will import for you. It is very, very similar to path file on your operating system, uppercase path, right? Anytime when you install some software, which is like Java, you basically add the Java path into your path environment variable, right? And I'm an Oracle DBA earlier. So when I install my Oracle database, I used to add the binaries of Oracle software home directory, Oracle home location in my path variable, or the path variable on the Linux. So it's the same thing. It's as simple as that. Okay. All right, so that's what you need to know. And in case you might be coming up with a lot of libraries. See, why Python is so successful in the market? Because it's an open source, and there are a lot of people who are actively developing these modules for their specific requirements. And they also put it on, the repo where you can download and install for yourself, right? That's why it is called open source and public. So people can develop their own module and they can keep it open to public to reuse for themselves, so that they can install it. In case if you want to install such, modules which are available in the market for your specific requirements, you will have to install those modules so that those modules will come and sit on your server. So now how do you, install those modules? That would be a problem, right? That would be a real question. So you can do it in two ways. Whenever you import a module which is not available on your system, PyCharm is the guy who helps you identify. You see, this underline which says that it do not have this package on your system. So either you can hover on it, it will tell you install package pandas, it will install for you, but you should know how to install it on the terminal also, right? So pip is the utility that helps to install Python related modules. And again, what is a module? It's a file you can call. it has got set of, classes, objects, and functions for you, and it does very specific activities for, the with respect to whatever module you're installing. What are these modules? It's just like you and me. We can develop these modules. We can put it in public repo for others to reuse. So one of such module is pandas. You will need it very, very badly in case if you're into data engineering, data science, ML, and web, because you're very well used to table structure, the structured format of the data. When I say structured format of the data, you have rows and columns. If you want to get the data in the form of rows and columns, and if you want to play around with that data, pandas is your friend, right? So we install it. So what are the ways to install these modules? You just hover on this. It will tell you, to choose install package pandas, or I would go different way. Go to the terminal, come back from your Python console. You should be in your, OS console. Now you just say pip3 is a utility which gets installed when you install your Python 3 as well, and just say install pandas. Now you see what will happen. It's collecting pandas from this repo, right? See here, files.pythonhosted.org. So somebody has, uh, developed pandas for you to deal with tabular structure of data, and it's made available for you. And it will also install all the dependencies like NumPy, whichever the dependencies are not available on your system for Python pandas to run, it will install all of them for you. All right, so it's done. Now, because it is done, I would come back to my Python console and I would hover on this and I select and then say command enter. Sorry, what does it say? I just say command enter. Yeah. So let me see. Yeah, now it imported. See? So now pandas is available. In case if I want to use pandas, one of the functions inside pandas, you just say pandas dot and it will tell you, see, all of these are available inside pandas. That's the beauty of PyCharm actually. That's the reason I like PyCharm a lot. But in case if you go to command line console and if I say Python 3 and inside Python 3, I say import pandas, right? It has imported. Now if I say pandas dot, it doesn't tell me what are the available functions or modules or objects available inside that module. It's not, your terminal is not user friendly. That's the reason these IDEs like PyCharm, are successful in the market. Okay. So let me come back here. That's the reason I like this. So as you keep typing, it will tell you what are the available packages that you're trying to run inside a module. Okay. Now I think you're good to know what is a module, how do you install a module, how do you load a module into your kernel. Only then you will be able to access all the objects inside your module, etc. So now let me quickly take you through the different basic things of programming, right? So in Python, variables are as simple as this. You just say a equal to 1, and if you want to print a, you see the value as 1. So here a is called variable. It can be of type number, it can be of type string, right? See here, print will only tell you what is available inside this variable called a. If you identify the difference earlier, when I said print and this, right? A, this is not in double quotes. In case if you want to directly print something, it should be in quotes. If you do not specify any quotes inside your print, it will expect a variable to be available in the memory. Only then it can show you something. For example, what am I trying to say? I don't have any variable called B so far. If I try to execute this, it says I don't identify B because it is that the name B is not available in the Python session at all, right? So in case if you want to type something and if you want to print it on the screen, this is track 1 session, and if I wanted to print, you can either give it in double quotes or you can also use your single quotes. It will exactly print the same thing that you write. You must be wondering, why do I ever do this? You will get to know later. Okay. And in case from the memory, if I want to delete any of the variable, I should just say del A. It will delete that variable. And after deleting the variable, definitely you will not have that in the memory. You will again see the error on the screen. All right. Okay. And very basic things again, right? So whenever you assign a variable, it will give you it will assign a data type to that variable. A data type can be number, strings, float, Boolean, JSON. You will be seeing a lot. A bit, binary. When you're dealing with images and all, the data types are different. If you're dealing with, you can also load images and videos into Python. You know that. So I'm going to cover those pieces also later. But yeah, so if you get to load images, videos into your Python, the data types are different. It's all about bits. Okay, so let's see, as time comes, you will definitely come to know. Now, if you want to see what is the type of data type of for this variable, just say print. It will tell you it's a type string. Now see, a again I changed. Now it's a string. Please remember, after a equal to 1, if I execute this, a equal to 1 has been overwritten with this. Now no more the value of a is 1, it is Oracle at this point. Okay, so just, and now I can have true. If you remember, string should be in double quotes, numbers need not to be in quotes, and booleans need not to be in quotes, but it's a case sensitive. That means the first alphabet should be in uppercase, either if it's true or false. It can be anything. And the float need not be in quotes as well. Now if I say print, it says float, it says Boolean. So all of these are basic data types. A variable will be of certain data type for sure in the memory, or the object type. So what are the different, when I say object type, different data structures. The basic data structures in Python are lists, tuples, sets, dictionaries. So let me tell you quickly what is a list. List is just array of elements. The array of elements can be numerics, strings, booleans. It can be anything. Okay. So if I just execute this, now this is A. If I just say what is the type of this, it is saying it's a list. List is nothing but just array of elements. In case if I want to access any one of these elements, if a equal to 0 is the first element, a equal to 1 is the second element. I call these as indexes. Every list will have an index. So if I say a of 0, it will give you 1. If I say a of 3, it will give me fourth element, because 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Similarly, I can have a list of strings also. Now, even here, the print will tell you only list. It doesn't say you it's a string. But if I can access again, print of a of 1, what it should give me, a of 1 is the second one, which means it should print me consulting right there. Okay, this is just about list. List is just array of elements. It can be any data type of elements. Okay, lists are your saviors. You will be using them left and right in the next sessions. Okay, so the next one is set. Okay, sorry, this is tuple. I'm sorry. So this is tuple. So tuple is also very similar to list. You see the difference? This is with square braces, but this is with a normal braces, right? So open braces and closed braces. The difference between list and tuple is tuples are immutable. When I say immutable, you cannot delete something from, you cannot delete an element from a tuple or add something to an element of a tuple. That means if I say a equal to this variable is fixed. You cannot add something in between later. You cannot change anything inside this tuple. But in the list, it is not like that. You can add element later also. But the tuple is nothing but immutable object. It is exactly the same of accessing of list. There is no difference. The only difference is it's immutable. The tuples are immutable. If you want to create a variable and if you're never ever going to add, change anything into that variable, you can create it as tuple, which is of type array. And next comes a set. Okay, so this set is in flower braces. Okay, curly braces people call. And if I just say set, and it is, do you see it's exactly the same as the list, but it is only flower braces. But what is the difference? Set doesn't have any indexes. You cannot access something with an index name. And one more thing is, set cannot accept duplicates. If there are any duplicate values inside the element, it automatically removes. See, I had 2, 4 numbers, numerics in the variable, but it removed. But unlikely, your list will allow duplicates. See, it will be exactly as you have given. But set is again array of elements. It doesn't have any indexes. That means you cannot query them. You cannot query one single element of a set. And one more thing is set cannot hold duplicates. Okay, so that means at any given point of time, you will have unique values inside set. Okay, cool. Now the last one, a very, very important one for data engineering guys at this point in the market is JSON type. A JSON will always have a key and value. I'm sure if you are a MongoDB guy, a JSON is something that is a friend to you. All the data inside the MongoDB is in the form of a key and value. Okay, it's the same thing. It is called dictionary in Python. That's it. The name is different, but the structure is the same. So here, by default, the index of a list starts with 0. But just that, you have to specify the name, the index in a dictionary. Mandatory. A dictionary should have a index, that is key, and what is the value of it. Now, if you see here, I am creating a dictionary. You see the dictionary, but in your case, if you want to get the value of a key, this is how you should pass. See, or I can also say print of a and place, right? Place or location. It's Hyderabad. All right, perfect. So these are the basic data structures available inside your Python. There are many more that you would be learning as in the course. As this is a very, very introductory session. I would be a little faster in what I'm doing, but I want you to basically go practice and be ready for the next sessions. Even if you get to know these terminologies, I would say it's good enough to start looking at my other sessions and do the practice on your own so that you get your hands very, very dirty. All right. Now comes loops. But before loops, I just wanted to say, okay, all right. So let me check if I'm not covering too many in this session. In case, then I'll break it up into track 1 and track 2, so that you will also get some breathing space to digest what is this. So I'll cover just loops, and then I'll resume for this or pause for this session. I'm sorry, and I'll cover rest of the introductory sessions in the next track. Okay. So as loops, remember, if you are a Python programmer, sorry, if you're a shell scripting programmer, if you have to open up a loop which is if and else, you should close it for sure, right? In any programming language which was the conventional way of programming. But in Python, indentations are very, very important. What do I mean by indentations? If you see a equal to false, this works fine, right? But if so, let me say you this. If I say if a equal to true, if I execute, see, it expects an indentation now. That means if you pass an indent, it means that it is part of this block. Indent is nothing but a space. That's it. It's just a tab of space. And my cursor is here. If I just press tab on my keyboard, it gives me one indentation. Okay, so if I give an indentation here, that means whatever I'm writing in this indentation, everything is part of this if condition. Every command which has got this indentation is part of this command or is part of this if condition. So, and again, if I'm done writing something, for example, testing indentation, okay, and you see, if I run this, I'm sorry. Okay, let me print A. I'm sorry, guys. I'll have to deal with this. Print B. Okay, so I ignore this piece. I'll have to get rid of this. So now you see, I'm just selecting this and execute. A is false. Now if I make A is true, and if I execute this, you see these two lines are executed. A is true is false. So my if condition, is true here. So these two lines are executed because these two are in same indentation. And if I have the third command here, print test successful. Now if I run this, you see here three lines are there. Why? Because this is also part of this indentation. By chance, if you're not giving indentation in between, now you see what happens. See, syntax error. If you have been given indentation within an if block, you have to close it properly. So indentations are very, very sensitive in Python programming. If you're giving an indentation, that means this command is a subset of a previous command. Here it's an if clause. Okay. Similarly, similarly the functions that you're going to learn in the next track, right? So just to help you, what is if? If this condition is true, that is, it prints these pieces, else it prints these pieces until the indentation is out. I'm removing the indentation. That means my if block is completed. That's it. Okay. Next is while loop. I just say a equal to 0. Again, indentation here. See, and you don't worry about indentation. PyCharm is your, you know, friend. So as soon as you say while and then colon enter, it will add an indentation for you by default, so that you get to know that you are starting, you're starting your code inside some loop. Okay. So if I just execute this, see, it started with 0. I'm saying a, print a, that is 0 first. In the next line, it is incrementing a by 1. That means at this point of time, a is becoming 1 and a is less than 5 still true. So it will execute all of them until it is 4, right? At 4, what happens is a becomes 5. The loop again comes to 94 and 5 is not less than 5. So the while loop breaks. So this is one sort of a loop. And another loop is for a equal to, for loop. So range 0 to 5 will just print values from, 0 to 1. Sorry, 0 to 4. Okay. So if I just say print range of 0 comma 5. Okay. So if you see here, I'm sorry, range is something that will, okay. Range will print these things. Let me show you 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. So range basically gives you a array of elements, which is a equal to, and which is equivalent to this. Why is that I'm getting this message? Right. So what is this underline? You see here, introduce variable for this statement. Okay, that's fine. See here, a equal to 0, 1 to this is why I like PyCharm. So it will underline something, it will highlight something as you're coding, and if you hover on it, it will give a bulb icon where you can really see and understand what's the problem. And a range 0 to 5 will basically create a list like this. What I'm saying, for a in this range, just print the value. So that's why you see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 here. That's it. So you can also run something in a for loop also. Please do not worry. I'm going to use a lot of for loops going forward, and I'm also going to explain the for loop when I'm taking you through those tracks. Okay. All right. I think it's a good point for me at this point of time to break up this session. Probably I have taken enough time for you for this session, and I'll meet you up in the next intro track, which will be track 2. But in case if you're, again, I'm letting you know, in case if you know all of these basics, please skip this. It's very, very basic things that I'm taking you through it. In case, please skip the intro sessions and directly step into the use case tracks when they come up. Okay. All right. Thanks for your time today. So we'll meet again in the next track, which will basically help you learn more. All right. Okay. Bye bye.